Hi, welcome to Keeping It Real, the largest podcast made by real estate agents and for real estate agents. My name is DJ Paris. I'm your guide and host through the show. And today on the show is our monthly series, and I think it goes back probably 6 years now, the Monday Market Minute with Carrie McCormick. She is with Carrie McCormick Real Estate Group with At Properties. Carrie is a top 1% producer in Chicago. She's over 20 years of experience helping buyers, sellers, and investors, specifically not only in the luxury market, but specifically in the luxury market. She's a true superstar and an expert in everything from first-time home buyers, veteran investors, luxury properties. She works with a ton of developers. I actually lived in one of her developments, and she is often chosen to represent high-end developers. Please follow Carrie on Instagram, Carrie McCormick Real Estate. I promise you, checking out her Instagram, you will be very impressed. And it's a great model for what real estate agents could aspire to if you want to have an incredible social media presence. My own brother-in-law sent me, we probably talked about this before, but several months ago, he goes, "Hey, check out this Instagram reel." And he lives in Tampa, Florida. And we're not even connected on Instagram, he and I. So it's not like because I know Carrie, I don't know how he saw it. And it was so funny. I was like, oh, that's my friend Carrie. And so that's how big of a reach she has. Carrie, welcome once again to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. I love hearing that story. That's great.
Yeah.
That's
you
great.
probably get a lot of people reaching out on social asking you, how do you do all that? Because it's really impressive. And you pretty much do it all yourself, which is even more
I'm
impressive.
very hands-on. I'm trying to get a little more help with it. I have to be honest because it's a lot, and
Yeah.
obviously I'm busy, but I'm very hands-on just because I'm very authentic to who I am, what I'm doing, and it's got to have my voice to it, and I don't want to hand it over solely to someone else because I feel like I lose my voice in it. So I try to do most of it myself.
So what's going on? What do we want to
Yeah,
talk about
so
today?
2026, you guys, this is amazing. We made it. 2025 was a great year. But I've been, studying the market a little bit as we're, entering the Q1 of this new year. And I was reflecting back on past few years, and it's always been about speed and volume that were rewarded. And now I'm feeling like in today's market, judgment, timing, clarity matter more than ever for clients.
Mm,
As you know, clients have access to so much information. There's so much online, especially now with ChatGPT. You can look up and ask it anything. It's going to regurgitate a bunch of information for you. But I do still feel that there's a lot of uncertainty as you get all of this information coming at you as a consumer, and you have all the resources right at the tip of your fingers, but you need someone to interpret that information, right? And so there's no confusion. So I think as a leader in the market and real estate advisor, we need to step back a little bit more and be in that advisory role. And even when it comes to pricing a property, right? It becomes more of a narrative of the property and the market versus a number. So I've got I've got like, I don't know, 3 to 5 different tips about this. So love just to
great.
dive in if you're ready.
Yeah.
Um,
So when you say narrative, do we talking about telling the story of the property?
Yeah, and again, when it comes to pricing or marketing, again, it's you got to tell the story of the property, but really know the ins and outs of it and why it's
Yeah.
positioned like that in the market, right? So, just to my first point, where the markets move from speed to strategy. So, for years, success in real estate has always been tied to speed, right? Who responds the fastest, who lists the fastest, who closed the property the fastest, who's got the best numbers. Well, I do think in 2026 that cycle is going to shift. I think today's market is rewarding judgment over urgency, and
Mm,
buyers are stepping away, or they're not stepping away, they're slowing down a little bit, right? They're evaluating their risk. They want to make sure that they make the right investment, and they're looking for a broker advisor who's going to guide them versus just say, yeah, that's a great property. Let's put an offer in. Let's put $100,000 over asking. Let's get that property. Again, speed will always be important, but I think strategy is going to be even more important this year.
yeah, we're talking about experience and getting an agent who knows that local market, really understands what things are worth, how to
Mhm.
price, how to bid, and Yeah, I have an interesting stat that I just learned yesterday. This is amazing. I won't quiz you on it. I'll just tell you
Okay,
because I,
good.
I can't imagine anyone would actually, you would probably get this right. I wouldn't have gotten this right. The average age right now of a home buyer across all age groups,
Okay.
56 to 59 years old, the average age. So a lot of us are thinking we always need to skew younger and think about
Mhm.
millennials and
Yeah.
Gen Z. They are not buying homes right now. In fact, the average first time home buyer is now gone up to 40 years old. It used to be like 30. Now it's 40. It was 35 a few years ago, and it's just inched upward. Millennials and Gen Z are just not, they're not doing it. But here's what's even more interesting about this
Wow.
56 to 59-year
Mhm.
old age range. 30% of these purchases, just talking purchases,
Okay.
all cash. So these are people that lived in their properties for a while. They pulled out their equity. Maybe they're downsizing or right sizing or whatever, and they're
Yeah.
30%. So what's amazing is I think there's this huge part of the market that people are not focused on. We're not talking about seniors. I mean, they're not really seniors
Right.
yet, but they're people in that like later stage of life. They're like peak earning power. They've got a bunch of money and nobody is like marketing to them because we sort of forget about people as they age and we just go, oh, it's always the younger people. It's like, so it's interesting, right?
No, that is interesting. I was just kind of reflecting on my buyers now, and it is a little bit of a mix, but I would say, going back into 2025, a lot of my clients were between 40 and 60, so I think you're
Yeah.
spot on. And I think that'll continue as well. So I think I probably would have failed that one, DJ. That question. I probably would have failed
Well,
it.
that's why I brought it up because I thought, what I was thinking is everybody should go join a pickleball league because that is where these people are. They are all playing pickleball, and they go sponsor a pickleball team. And if you need to meet these people, or go but get into country clubs. They go to country clubs too. They go to church. These are
Yeah.
people that go out. They go to plays. They go to the symphony. They go out and do cultural
Yeah.
stuff. They're not hanging out online. They're on Facebook. They're not really scrolling Instagram and TikTok all that much. That's not them. They're Facebook people, but they're out in the community. So you have to go out in the community, I think, to find these people.
So get out and get face to face with people. I think,
Yeah.
though, no matter, what era we're in, I think that's always been a good learning lesson for me. I look back to my early, years in real estate, and, networking will never fail you, right? Get in front of people, build that connection. I was just talking about this the other day with someone of, especially a younger generation being on their phones all the time, and, being able to text and DM and whatever that communication is. But the ability to get out and communicate, meet people face to face, look people in the eyes, share an experience with them. I mean, that is like you said, pickleball. Share a game with them, share some sort of experience that just puts you on a different level of a relationship with someone.
Yeah. Oh, mahjong too. That's another big one. Mahjong and pickleball. That's what everybody's doing these
Those are the
days.
two things I'm not good at. I have to find something
Me
I'm good
neither.
at. I'll go watch it. That's about all I'll do.
That's it.
So
Yeah, yeah.
So 2026 too, just to step back into it, I think pricing. I talked a little bit about that. I mentioned the storytelling. I think it's now a narrative. It's not a number. So I think pricing today is less about just picking the number and more about defending a position of pricing.
Mm,
Buyers aren't rejecting homes, they reject uncertainty. When they don't feel good about something, when there's a lack of information, whatever it is, they just reject the uncertainty of it. And when pricing a home, a property, when pricing lacks logic or strategy, the momentum of that home definitely stalls quickly. The most effective agents present pricing as a story, right? So it's
yeah.
it's supported by data, timing, a clear marketing plan as well, and then overpricing a property. And I've got a few of those in my arsenal. It's a tough one. Again, consumers are extremely smart. They're working with brokers that are advising them, and you've got to hit the pricing on the nose in 2026. I think that's important.
Yeah, I'll tell you a story about I got my current place. The reason I got my current place was the previous bidder from like a month before backed out. And so I said, "Oh, that's interesting. Why did they back out?" Because that I just wanted to know, is there something I'm missing? And they said, "Well, it's a three unit building. So it's a
Yeah.
small building, HOA, they just self-manage." Well, they never took meeting notes. And so what happened was all of a sudden the assessments got really, they dwindled, and there was like hardly any assessments. That doesn't look good, and no meeting notes also doesn't look good. So at its face value, you're like, oh, something got really screwed up here.
Yeah.
But instead of me just assuming that that's true, I said, there's probably a story here, and it probably is a reasonable story. Let me contact the HOA and just find out what happened. And they go, oh, there's nothing wrong with our thing. What happened was the person that was paying the bills was just auto paying everything, didn't notice for like 5 years that our premiums were going up. And so we were all underpaying our assessments. We didn't know it. And all of a sudden it just kind of dwindled our reserves. But our roof's brand new. All of our appliances are brand new within the last 5 years. I promise you, she's like, there's nothing wrong. Like, we are all nice people. We pay our bills. We just were paying less. He goes, we actually had to double our assessments because we were only each paying like $200, which is
Wow.
crazy low. Yeah. So when you actually heard the story, that thankfully the listing agent was also able to share with me, he's like, please do not let this freak you out. I promise you there's nothing wrong here. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, there is nothing wrong here.
Yeah.
But at face value, if you just looked at it, you would go, oh, something bad happened. And that's where the storytelling comes in. And that's where these really great agents who go, any competent attorney would say there's something wrong here, and maybe they wouldn't even investigate. They would just say move on to another property. But I went in and investigated. I talked to the listing agent. He's like, trust me, everything's good. And I moved in and everything's good. So
Good. You
yeah.
know, there's always stories, right? And these
Mhm.
stories we learn from. And actually, that brings me to my last point: is brand and reputation matter more than volume in this market, right? As real estate agents, obviously we want to achieve high volume. Again, at the beginning, I was talking about speed and execution, but I do think that this market is unforgiving for sloppy execution, and
Mhm.
clients are paying more and more attention to who they trust, right? So again, they're buying, selling a home. It's a big investment. They don't want anything, super flashy. They don't want the lip service. They want advice. They want trust. And I think that the high performers in the market, these high net worth clients, they're being more selective of who they work with now. And when building a brand as a real estate agent, and I've worked on this for years, it is about visibility and having the attention, right? And that comes from social, that comes from the ads that we produce, it comes from the networking, being present in public. It's about consistency. It's also providing discretion to our clients, and of course the results. So, reputation is such an important aspect of our jobs that we have to protect, of, how we look in public, not physically, but, how we act and how we talk and how we represent our clients. It's it's a long game, meaning you've got to protect your reputation and always do the right thing.
I think you're a really great example of this because you could have, and maybe this sort of standard pathway for somebody at your level at some point would have been, it's time for you to sort of step back and just be the rainmaker and have this giant team of people where they're going to be sort of doing, a
Mhm.
lot of the actual legwork. And you really didn't do that. And I think that was a specific choice because you have such high standards, and it's
Mhm.
really, really hard to find other agents that are going to meet you. I mean, it's your name, it's your brand. They're not going to work as hard as you are, even the best possible agents, because it's your brand. And you sort of realize that. I thought that was really smart because you control every aspect of your brand. And I think that is really, it's a lot of responsibility. Obviously, you work really hard to do it, but it's served you super well. When people know when they work with you, they get you, and you're answering the phone and you're posting on social media and you're doing all the hard stuff. And it means you're a very busy person, but it also means that your clients know who they're working with. And I think there aren't a ton of agents at your level who sort of do it your way. And I imagine that must have been a conscious decision.
It was, I think early on, as my business grew, there kind of was a point where I had to think of, I last year was a banner year for me, and my bandwidth was stretched, to some degree. But I've hired so many support. I hate saying staff, but support, team members that help me support being in the field. And I feel very fortunate just to have some of the best people supporting me and, helping me build and grow my team. So I think, having the right people in place is important. But yes, I never let go of control, and I don't think I ever will. I tried for a little bit, but it doesn't work with me.
Yeah, well, it's when you are working at the space you're working, people are hiring you for you, and
Right.
that is a really powerful experience, and it's the reason why you've been so successful. So there's a lot of ways to build a business, and you have built it a very specific way, very unique way, and that's, I think, something that even sometimes goes against some of the more traditional, this is how you build a real estate practice, you scale, and you've scaled, and you do have people on your staff, you do have team members, and you do have that assistance,
Yeah.
but you are really still kind of the face and the main person that people talk to, and I think that's a really important, you've protected your brand, and I think that's something
Yeah.
that doesn't often get talked about, is how to protect one's brand as they go up, and you've done it for 20 plus years. Amazing.
Long time.
Well, I think, what do we think for the spring market? Do you have any, again, nobody's got a crystal ball, but what, you've been around, doing this for decades. What do you think the spring market's going to look like?
I think it's going to be bonkers, if that's a technical term. I think Chicago is positioned very well this year. We're seeing a lot of people come back to the city. We're seeing a lot of people re-engage in our downtown markets. I'm so busy right now, and we've got a lot of buyers out there looking. We've got a lot of sellers a little bit on the fence of where they're going, but prepping and preparing to put their homes on the market. So my forecast, as long as there's no big world issues that happen, that we don't know about, that's coming down the pipeline, but as long as everyone behaves nicely in the world, I think we're positioned to have a great year, 2026. And my last thought is, for 2026, my closing thought will say is, the market in 2026 isn't about being louder. It's not about being faster. It's going to be, for a broker, is about being clear, being calm, and being very precise. I think agents who lead that are going to be the agents that people trust, that they're going to put, their trust and hope into that agent that they're going to find and sell their home. I always say, tell the truth to your clients, guide the decisions with confidence, and even if the message is uncomfortable, that's our job, is to be advisor and lead our clients down the right path.
Yeah, and you study the market a lot too, and a lot of that expertise comes from obviously experience, but also staying on top of everything that's going on in your
Yeah.
chosen market. And you do that. You know what's out there, what's available. You know the price points. You know how long places are staying, and right now rates have dropped quite a bit, or at least to some sort of degree that people are a little bit happier with,
Yeah.
and so there is a lot of opportunity. But I think you're right. I think now with AI, people can get information a lot more quickly, and they really do. There's gonna be a flight to experience. I think it's
Yeah.
just gonna be who's the most experienced agent, because they can get most everything else on ChatGPT. Like
They
it's just
can.
all there. As much as I hate to say it, it's all there. And even pricing strategy, you can get it on ChatGPT. Now, is it a good pricing strategy? That's where the experienced agent will be like, that's either a good idea
I
or here's
have
a better
tested
idea.
it out. I've done my own analysis, and then I'll plug, my data into chat just to see if it comes up with the same. It's kind of like my checkpoint.
Yeah,
And
that's interesting.
um, we have a good relationship because we're pretty in line with each other.
Yeah.
And sometimes it does bring up points of a property like an outlier, and it helps me think through things. It's like having a little personal assistant with me all the
Yeah.
time. I don't rely 100% on it, but it definitely has been a good tool just to help evaluate, especially complex situations, or properties that are very unique. It kind of gives a different perspective, so I love it.
I think too, like as somebody who just went through selling and buying, and
Mhm.
I did it myself, and I shouldn't have, because the truth is, I only did it to save on the commissions, but I really relied upon all my friends in the business to help me because I didn't know what I was doing. And the truth is, I absolutely understand now why agents are paid what they're paid, because the emotional regulation part of it, like you were saying, staying calm, like I wasn't staying calm. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what at what this and that meant. And I
Right.
would just be getting these updates from the people, either I was bidding or people were bidding on my place, and I didn't know what to do. And I just knew what the offer said and what the offer I was making, but I didn't know how to interpret a lot of that information. And ChatGPT really wouldn't have been able to do that for me. And
Hmm.
so I appreciated the people that gave me help during that time, especially. And again, I always think like, if you're not reaching out to the agent on the other side of the deal and really figuring out a way to get this deal closed,
Right.
like you're missing out, because that is how I got both of my deals ultimately
Yeah.
closed. I reached across the aisle and I was like, I truthfully do not totally know what I'm doing. I am going on. I need your help. I won't mention the agent's names, but I need your help. These two agents, can you help me do this? And they were like, oh, totally. This is what we'll do. And they were both honest. They were both ethical, thank goodness. And they helped me in ways that I couldn't have imagined. And it's like, people I think forget that. A lot of times think of it as an adversarial sort of position. It's like, I did not have that experience. And both people were happy as could be to help me with this. And just being a nice person, like you always say, being a nice person in this business really gets you far. And boy, I have just found that to be true. And you are a nice person. So, and this is what a nice person you are. You don't have time to do this, truthfully. We know you don't, because even just getting you on the schedule is very hard, because Carrie is that busy, and she's busier doing more important things than this. But she comes on there
I
every
love
month.
this, DJ. Don't say that. I love being on this, and I love sharing.
I
And, you
I
know,
I feel so grateful for you, because you come on here. You are somebody that is very important to this show, and people listen because you are on it. So thank you, especially just to sort of make a quick plug. Everyone, go follow Carrie McCormick on Instagram. We'll have a link to it in the show notes. Carrie McCormick Real Estate, and of course you can find her. Just Google her. She's super easy to find.
thank
And also tell a friend about this show. Everybody wants to know, especially here in the Chicagoland area, but really no matter where you are in the country, or even outside the country. We have listeners from like 30 countries. You should be checking out to see what she's doing, and follow her on social, and reach out to her, and get some advice from her as well. And tell a friend. Think of another agent in your office that could benefit. Show them the show. We appreciate it. Check out our sponsors. Thank you to them as well. On behalf of Carrie and myself, we say thank you to everyone. On behalf of our audience, thank you, Carrie, once again. I think this is your 6th year, and one of my first people that was willing to come on the show was you. And you are such a fun person to talk to. And we'll see you,
you.
everybody, next month. Thanks, Carrie.
Thank you.